can see, I have a special guest here. This is actually my brother-in-law. His name is Bernard Bergan. And I wanted to talk to him because we're in a new year, and I think this is definitely a good time to, I guess, essentially be self-made. And because he is, in my opinion, self-made, I wanted to kind of like pick his brain. And so I'll have you introduce yourself to my followers and then kind of what you do. And then I have like 10 questions for you.
Okay, that works. Well, Happy New Year. I know many of us is waiting for the year to turn the page. But, real quick, I want to remind you guys that you are enough. I think we don't hear that enough, but you are enough. All I want you to know about me is my name is Bernard Bergan. You put that in any search engine, I come right up. I've had a fantastic career in the military, a fantastic career at Microsoft, and now me and my family, we're pursuing what's next. So I'm working on my MBA. That way, as our businesses continue to grow, there's a different level of management there. But then also, we want to rethink life coaching and coaching communities. And I think by adding that to my tool belt, I'll have some insight into how to scale things. Guys, never stop improving yourself. Again, Bernard Bergan.
Okay, so my first question to you is, what would the world look like if you realized your vision? Who would benefit and who would suffer?
Okay, I will start with the suffering. I have lived in multiple countries, and many times we don't realize that the things we get to enjoy, we have dollar stores, guys, 99-cent stores. So someone somewhere is making that for 1 cent. For them to sell it for $1.99 at a profit, that means someone somewhere in the world is making that for 1 cent. Something I like asking myself is, if I was that person, would I be okay? Some are, most aren't. So if I realize my vision, it would allow people who were born in places that don't have the same values as the country I was born in. I'm from the United States. So that in their lifetime, if they have a passion for art, dance, a passion for governing at the governor level, mayor level, city council, that they can achieve that. I've lived in countries where, because they have a hard caste system, people can't move up. Realizing my vision will not only entertain millions of people, but will challenge them to know that life is a journey and they don't have to stay stuck in place.
All right, so the second question is, what motivates you to do what you do?
I think motivation is such a tricky word, and I'm at the space where I get to. It's not really about motivation for me. I have wonderful people in my life, a great family that I love and who loves me. And I think when you realize that there are talents, gifts, and ideas that only come to you to come through you, you start being challenged to let it out. Now, when I served in the military, and I was in a special ops unit, so shout out to all of the men and women who are defending our freedoms right now. I really appreciate you and the sacrifice that you're making. It hit me that someone made that sacrifice before it was my turn. So when I think about that, I'm always challenged to show up at my best because someone went before you. Like we're watching YouTube. Most of us didn't build it. So someone went before us to create this wonderful platform that so many of us get to connect on. What if they didn't do their part? Would we be here today? So that challenges me and, air quotes, motivates me to do my part.
I was going to say, even though you don't necessarily, I guess, care for the word motivates, I think you giving me confirmation that this is probably what I should be doing, that's what gives me more motivation, especially since me creating my own space within YouTube and getting negative feedback, you're my motivation, because at least you told me that this is something that I can do and that I'm capable of doing.
All right, guys, leave your comments for Nikki, Martinique757, and let her know why she should continue her YouTube journey. Me and our nieces and nephews, because Nikki is my sister-in-law, we were watching her channel this morning at breakfast, and you should have seen their eyes. Because they're watching their auntie at the breakfast table, and they're watching their auntie on YouTube, and they're like, whoa. And I think sometimes we don't see ourselves through the eyes of the people who look up to us. So I'm challenging you guys to not just focus on the negative. I know that's how the brain is wired. The brain is wired for survival. So if you see a snake, you remember that. But if you see a cute panda, you might forget that. That's just how the brain is wired. But we have to push beyond survival mode and think about thriving and creating a world and a space that others get to enjoy as well.
All right, so my third question is, where does your passion come from?
Now, I like the word passion. I just also think it's overused. I think there are things that you get to do and that challenges you to rethink. And for example, it's the holiday seasons right around the New Year's. We have a house full of family, and I've been watching different family-friendly movies because we have from 3-year-olds all the way up to 11-year-olds in terms of the children. Of course, the adults can watch whatever. And I'm watching some of the movies and looking at the themes and the lessons in those movies. And anytime I see a theme or lesson that challenges me, I'm not somebody who says, well, the director should have, the writer should have. They did their best. If I have a problem with it, then I change it. So I'm more passionate about what I don't want than what I do want. Because if you eliminate all the things you don't want from your life, then you're left with what you do want. For example, if mediocrity is something you want to eliminate from your life and you focus on that, and that's eliminated, now all that's left is excellence. For example, if it's a weight loss journey and first you're focused on the nutrition, now that might seem scary, but by locking in on what you don't want, I don't want to eat bad foods, then all that's left is the healthy foods that get you towards your goal. So I'm going to challenge you guys to rethink the concept of passion and start eliminating the things from your life you don't want. If you don't like to argue, eliminate that. Doesn't mean avoiding confrontation. What it means is you set an expectation with the people in your life. If we're going to have a tough discussion, we're going to do it like a courtroom. You get to speak. I don't cut you off. I get to speak. You don't cut me off. And then we get to truly hear what's on the inside. All right, so again, I think what challenges me to stay passionate and driven is just eliminating the things I don't want in my life.
Gotcha. All right. What and whom do you love best?
What and whom I love best. This is easy for me. This is a layup. I've been with the same woman for 22 years now. We've been married 17 of those years. My wife has challenged me more than any other human on the planet. I had great parents who were challenging, parents who were hard on me, parents who were loving. But when you get married, and I think if you are choosing to do marriage right, look, everybody don't. I get it. But if you're choosing to do marriage right, there becomes a level of commitment. And Nikki can vouch for me. When I told my wife I was going to do this interview with Nikki, the first thing she asked, did you get a haircut? Because she's not going to let me go on YouTube for Martinique's millions and millions of fans as it continues to grow. And I'm looking like I've been in the house all week, like most of us have, because there is a pandemic. And when you have someone who is standing in your corner, but who's also willing to get in your face to make sure that you show up at your best, man, that changes you. And then to have someone to love, and if I love that person correctly, their love tank gets filled up and they love me back correctly, it's been an amazing experience. Wasn't always easy, but like I said, when you flip the switch to eliminate what you don't want, I didn't want to do marriage chaotic. I wanted to do marriage that went in one, even if it's going slowly up. I wanted marriage that went in one line. And I think that challenged me to love in a new way, to listen in a new way, and also to lead in a new way. So 10 out of 10. It's my beautiful wife, Latasha.
Gotcha. Number 5, what are you most afraid of? Getting your way or not getting your way?
Getting my way or not getting my way. I think this question is super interesting because I don't see either as a different paradigm. Mm-hmm. I believe that there are divine pauses. I believe in Jesus. That's my right. If you believe in something else, go for it. But because I believe in Jesus, I believe in Jesus' time. In my devotions this morning, it was exactly on that topic. There were some people in the Bible, their brother had died. They had sent for Jesus because he was sick before he died. And instead of rushing over, Jesus took his time. And the devotion challenged me to think about what would my life look like if I was on Jesus' time versus Bernard's time. Because sometimes Bernard can be impatient. But being impatient doesn't mean I got my own way. And then being patient doesn't mean I got my own way. So I'm challenged to look at the bigger picture, because 2020 for me, like many of you, I'm like, come on, get this vaccine. Can this pandemic slow down? And I wasn't on my time. But for many people, 2020 was a blessing in disguise. What do I mean? I've seen families reconnect. I coach parents and train parents from time to time. And for the last 3 years, between 2017 and 2020, parents who had school-aged children, who sent their children to school, had one deep fear: school shootings. But guess what happens when all the schools are closed? Nobody's babies have to worry about school shootings. And that's what I mean by like Jesus' time, God's time. There are things bigger than us that are going on that we might not like in getting our way or not getting our way. But when you step back and you see more perspective, you have a wider vision, you start to appreciate literally what you went through. So I'm someone who prays for the good and the bad. I'm thankful for the good and the bad, because both have changed me and both have allowed me to love at a level I wouldn't have been able to had I not experienced it.
All right. Number 6, who else has been down your road before you?
Who else has been down the path that I'm traveling? I think I have some great coaches and mentors. Coach Kendall Fickling comes to mind. He does a lot of amazing work for the communities that he leads. You see the G-Men sign like right there. That's one of the organizations that he's founded and leads. So there are people who have similar paths, but none exactly like mine. For example, my wife and I, we've been married 17 years. We don't have children. The verdict's out if we like them. Because one woke me up this morning to unlock an iPad at 6:35. So we're not sure if we like them yet. But for us, that works. It doesn't work for every couple. And what I like to point out to people is that your journey is always different, no matter the similarities. And because without knowing it, we get programmed by culture and the communities we belong to compare, we start losing a sense of ourselves, who we are, what we want to show up as, and how we want to lead in our own lives. So I'm challenged by taking notes from people doing things well, but knowing that even if I copy them word for word, action for action, I won't necessarily produce their results because I'm not who they are. And if I stick to who I am as I try different facets of my journey on, I'll get to where I'm going. Most of my success at a high level has come from me ignoring the crowd. Looking, but ignoring the crowd. For the most part, guys, I know most people will say I'm all over social media, and while I do have all those social media channels, the best way to reach me is to call me or email me. Because I understand that the more I spend time in spaces of comparison, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, then I lose myself by watching somebody else be themselves. But if I spend more time watching myself be who I am, I'm able to live my journey out loud.
Next question, what do you spend most of your time doing?
All right, you're making me give away all my secrets. Thinking. Guys, there is nothing more important than understanding how you think and giving yourself more space to think. Thoughts become things. So the more time I have to think, dream big, as you see that sign back there says, you get to that space where, again, the sign, never give up. The reason I have that Muhammad Ali poster behind us, I'm challenged by how do we keep going during adversity. As iconic as he is today, Muhammad Ali was once a champ who was stripped of his titles because he did not want to serve in a war that he called unjust. He didn't do anything personally, quote, wrong to lose his titles, but he still did lose his titles. And he had to face that adversity and keep on his journey. So I'm always surrounding myself with things that, as I'm giving myself time to think, it goes deep into my subconscious and it becomes me. I have a never give up, never quit mentality. I don't care what it is. Now, it's not always smart, don't get me wrong, but I'll do it because it challenges me to change. Last year about this time, I was fasting and I went 40 days. Parts of it, all the way stupid, but parts of it built levels of faith in me that wasn't there before. So I'm always challenged by where we can go in our mind. And the reason I spend so much time thinking is because I'm actually removing doubt, fear, and just all the negative feedback at times we take in and make a part of who we are. And thinking allows me to see the blocks, remove the blocks, and reprogram my mind for the success I want to live and achieve.
All right. Number 8, when are you most fully yourself?
I am most fully myself when I'm with my brothers and my family members. I'm not someone who really puts on a show, but I do understand the need for etiquette. Typically, if I'm talking to people, somebody will be offended. And quite frankly, I don't care. Why? Because I'm not going to change me so you can be more you. You have to decide to be more you despite who's around. So if we have to have a tough conversation, we're going to have it, no matter how that makes us feel. Because I'd rather you know why than for you to pretend you understand why, and now we're not talking for decades because you don't really understand where I'm coming from. When someone hurts my feelings, I tell them. I don't care who it is. Coworker, boss, business partner. And a lot of people don't have that luxury. But because I have 4 brothers, drastic different personalities. I have over 26 nieces and nephews, drastically different personalities. Some nieces and nephews are approaching their 30s, and some are still wee babies, 2-3 months old. So vastly different personalities. And what I've found is I have to be more of me for me to truly love and connect with them. And I believe that's something you can take outside of your family as well. And while I'm most comfortable with my family, I take that bubble of comfortability anywhere I go as well.
Number 9, what one word best sums up you and your vision?
It's powerful you asked that. President Obama's new book is called The Promised Land. And as you said that, I thought about that. Promise. I don't make promises. Because here's the truth. I don't control enough of the world to keep all of your promises. No one does. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have promises. 2020 is when I take you to Disney World, said a lot of parents. Mm-hmm. My neighbor across the street said that. But guess what? Nobody went to Disney World because things change. But what I challenge myself to do is keep the promises I make to myself. Now, many of y'all are calling them resolutions and all these fancy titles and terms. But here's the truth. They're promises to yourself. Some of us are being bullied, and you said, this is the last time. And you need to keep that promise to yourself. Some of us are in jobs that we don't want to be in anymore. We got to keep that promise to ourselves. Some of us are in relationships, places and spaces that we need to evolve from. Keep that promise to yourself. Because what I've found is when I keep my promises to myself, I'm more of who I am when I need to be that. Here's the truth. Maybe for the past 2 years, no interviews. People, hey, I want to be on your podcast. Can you come on my podcast? Nope. Because I was working on who I am. That was a promise to myself. And now we're in the new year. The page has turned. And my sister-in-law said, hey, I'd love to interview you. Because I kept that promise to myself, I can show up fully who I am. And I'm going to challenge every one of you for the rest of this decade. Keep your promises to yourself. Now, everyone else, you can renegotiate those promises. But to yourself, be a person of your word. Be a human of your word.
I was going to mention you're such a big fan of self-affirmations to the point where when you showed us the video that you made for yourself, I thought that was pretty dope. Because I would have never thought to do anything like that.
Yeah. I'll say this real quick. In my book of faith, which is the Bible, it says faith comes by what you hear. And there's no voice more powerful and soothing than your own, reminding you who you are. One of the things I I have in that video to myself is I am loved. That's important to know. I'm valued and valuable. Those three things, if that's in your spirit, in your mind every day, you will grow. And you will outgrow those tough situations that maybe have held you back or held you down. Even outgrowing some of the losses that you experienced in 2020. So I'm going to challenge you. If nothing else, make that self-affirmation video. Listen to it once a day. Watch it once a day. Let it get in you. Hear yourself, believing in yourself and what you can accomplish. And then leave a comment and let Martinique know how you're doing with that and what's changed. Because I'm challenging you. If you do that for a year, sky's the limit.
All right, the 10th question, what and who inspires you with awe?
What and who inspires me with awe? This is easy. So, watching my brother Byron, Martinique 757's husband, watching their relationship, I got to see them in Virginia a few weeks ago, and I get to see them here for about a week, and it's inspiring because they choose us over everything else. And it doesn't mean they have it figured out, but they're like, okay, we're the foundation, and then together we can build what's next. That for me is inspiring. People who are committed to not quitting on themselves and the people closest to them. So there's some fathers in my life that I get to see, and they are not going to quit on themselves. They know there's spaces to grow. They know where they have failed. They do self-assessments, and they get the feedback that they need to say, you don't communicate well, you yell a bit too much, you spend too much time at work, and then they make the adjustments. That's inspiring. And then they don't quit on the people that they love and lead. If they see someone in their family struggling, they take the time to sit with them, talk to them, or just be there for them, giving them hugs. That for me inspires me. I'm not inspired by grand gestures. I've been all over the world, and I know that a lot of grand gestures are a lot of smoke and mirror, lots of production, lots of fancy lights and makeup. But when you see people in their raw state, like Martinique, her husband, just truly taking care of each other, looking out for each other, challenging each other to pursue their dreams. When you see men who have faced some tough adversity but not give up on themselves or their children or their families or their goals or their dreams. For me, that's where I draw my inspiration, and that also pushes me to live the same way.
All right, and I just have a bonus question for anyone who potentially may want to, I guess, be an entrepreneur, although we talked about that word. You can explain it if you want to. What advice can you give them, and then you can let them know where they can find you. And of course, I'll have that in the link or in the description box below.
Don't find me. Find
Okay.
Nikki.
Okay, never mind.
Find Nikki. I am online, Bernard Bergan. Throw it in the search engine. It comes right up. Guys, if you need to connect with me, trust me, you will. And if you don't, you won't. I am not average. Nothing I do is average. So no, don't approach me with your average. When you come to me, be clear. Be clear about what I can do for you or what you can do for me. If you're somewhere in the middle, that's not where you want to be when we talk. My book of faith says lukewarm is the worst spot. Be hot, be cold. You know what I'm saying? Either you emo, you know what I'm saying, or you're a pop star. All this alternative stuff. Let's just leave that alone. I think one of the hardest things for people to do is admit where they fall short. I think we have to always get to that. And as an entrepreneur, you fall short more than you hit home runs. And the reason I don't like the term entrepreneur is because I want you to build businesses that outlast your lifetime. If you've seen an iPhone, that business was built by someone who's no longer on the planet. But we all continuously get to benefit from the genius, the ideas, the drive, the experience, and people working together to build something And I believe there was a time in the state that they were full-time entrepreneurs, just trying to make it while working a full-time job or a part-time job, trying to figure things out, trying to hustle to just make ends meet, sometimes having to downsize and downgrade. But at some point, they had to be bold enough to take on investment, bold enough to give a return on that investment, and bold enough to keep going despite the setbacks, to build something that outlasted who they are. So I'm going to challenge every entrepreneur, whatever your vision, stickers, cupcakes, YouTube, I don't care what it is, build something that outlasts your lifetime. At some point, an entrepreneur must take off the entrepreneur hat and put on the business owner hat. Why? Because as an owner, think about a football team, basketball team, a football club, England, UK. There's someone who's never getting on the field, who's making sure that things will manage to continue year after year after year. Star player after star player after star player. They don't get to experience the love and joy of being recognized worldwide, but their role is just as vital. They know as an owner that the facilities need to be managed well. All the staff and team members have to be taken care of, from contracts to the minutest detail. If someone had a loss in their family, giving them the time off to heal, grieve, and get back to the work of sport that they're in. And I think when you don't think like an owner, sometimes you chase after the next thing, after the next thing, after the next thing, without perfecting what's in front of you. I'm not saying only do one thing. Every human being is multidimensional. Embrace that. What I am saying is, find mastery, whatever that looks like for you. Find mastery. And when you find mastery, you will attract to yourself those who have mastered what they do. Telling on myself. Nikki asked, am I someone who needs my questions ahead of time? I was like, no. I found mastery. If I'm running my mouth, that's my level of mastery. I spend so much time thinking. I spend so much time rehearsing. Nikki will tell you, this is how I talk. Mm-hmm. Like literally. You're like, bro, this is not a commercial. Doesn't matter. I must always find mastery in the things I get to do. And by finding that mastery, when it's time to turn the cameras on, turn the conversation on, and help others turn their life on, I step in and I can do what I do. If you find mastery, you go beyond just the entrepreneur. I mean, the idea and the quick exchange of money for goods and services. And you start to build a business, something that will outlast your lifetime. And you apply a bit of mastery. Humans, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the iPhone 12. I remember the iPhone 1. I had it. And yeah. Thank God for the 12. But that's what it looks like. Year 1, you're a little hustler. You're hustling. You're getting things off the ground. Year 2 to 3, you're in that entrepreneurial mode. You're networking. You're moving your goods, products, and services. But beyond year 5, most small businesses tend to fail in the first 5 years. But beyond year 5, you have to start asking yourself, how can I build this to be sustainable and to outlast my lifetime? So that those coming behind you, whether it's your own family, your family members, or those staff members that have teamed up with you to help build this thing, they get to take it to its next level. Their version of the iPhone 12.
All right, well, that's all the questions that I have for you today. Thank you for allowing me to be the first person to interview you in the year 2021. Again, I'm pretty sure this will not be the last trip out to see you. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure you thumb it up, subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.
And leave your comments for Nikki below. See y'all.